Somehow Palpatine returned.
That's impossible!
No one's ever really gone.
I bypassed the compressor.
And I'm the Jedi.
Rey Skywalker.
I am inevitable.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
Are you freaking serious? No, I refuse to believe this, man. This has got to be a joke, right?
No, what the heck? I'll laugh anyway.
I mean, at this point, I don't know who Kathleen hates more, George Lucas, the fans, or Ryan Gosling.
I'm gonna tear you limb from limb!
Us Star Wars fans are in the midst of a decade-long nightmare that none of us seem to be able to wake up from.
You better start believing in ghost stories. You're in one.
I agree.
I am tired of Earth. These people. I'm tired of being caught in the tangle of their lives.
So, there's a new report that Rey is going to appear in Star Wars Starfighter, and what can I even say at this point? I thought the whole point of taking a 6 or 7 year gap in between movies was to distance ourselves from the sequels, and especially from Rey. I don't think I've ever seen a new character damage a pre-established franchise more than Little Miss Palpatine, but I gotta give her credit. She can bypass the compressor, character development, and the Target toy aisle and go straight to Ross or Marshall's. Nobody's better than modern day Lucasfilm at killing movies in the cradle. Great job, guys, you've still got it. But on a serious note, how can anyone at Disney, Lucasfilm, or any branch of the company justify this at this point? Real quick, if you're enjoying the video, please like and subscribe. Now back to the video. While The Mandalorian used to be the most popular Disney Plus show, it has grown into a completely irrelevant title. And every single subsequent project on Disney Plus that comes from Lucasfilm has been an absolute failure. In fact, pretty much every Star Wars or Marvel show on Disney Plus has done nothing but damage the brands. But at least the MCU had the Infinity Saga, most of which was good to great to rest its laurels on. Star Wars, on the other hand, has been plagued by disgraceful decision making ever since George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Bob Iger in 2012. No! And in desperation, after being forced to pause theatrical releases for nearly 7 years due to fan backlash, the galaxy-brained executives, aka Kathleen Crypt Keeper Caca Cat Lady Kennedy, thought that bringing back Rey was somehow the best fix for bringing the fans back. And just to be clear, this is not an attack on Daisy Ridley. It is absolutely a damning indictment on the creative team and the poor writers who doomed her character from the start. As far as I know, Daisy has never said a bad thing about the fans ever, and she's kind of taken all of this backlash in stride. It's really not her fault. She seems like a nice person. The creative team at Lucasfilm failed her and failed the fans, and I want to make it very clear that this has nothing to do with her. This has everything to do with the script and the creative choices made by everyone behind the scenes, which makes it even more baffling as to why they would choose to reinsert this character into the franchise at all. Rey is the Michael Jordan of Mary Sue's, the Palpatine who masquerades as a Skywalker, the most uninteresting protagonist in any of the Star Wars films or spin-offs. You're telling me that Rey is going to somehow save Star Wars when her character is a primary reason the fans have been driven away?
No way! I don't think so, pal!
And there's no way Lucasfilm isn't aware of how stupid this is. Why else would you take a 7-year break from making movies if the sequel trilogy was such a success? The short answer is it wasn't, but Kathleen and the head creatives at Lucasfilm refuse to acknowledge their failure and will continue to try to shove Rey and other sequel trilogy elements that absolutely piss fans off down all of our throats. I mean, is it hubris? Is it hatred? Who knows? But regardless, this decision to move in this direction renders this 7-year break absolutely useless. Imagine I came over to your house and I pooped on every single floor in every single room, and then instead of cleaning up my mess, I dipped and disappeared for 7 entire years. And then one day I just show up back at your house, and instead of offering to clean up or apologizing for what I did, I come right back inside and start dookying everywhere like nothing happened.
You disgust me.
What, are you retarded?
Not a great plan.
And as bad as that sounds, I guess that's what Lucasfilm is planning to do. Just ignore it and pretend that the shit isn't all over the floor. But the problems with Star Wars don't just stop in the TV and film department. Just look at all aspects of the franchise right now. Nothing is moving in the right direction. Star Wars used to be a merchandising giant. George made sure to hold on to the merchandise rights when he first made Star Wars, and that's how he ended up making most of his money. Unfortunately for Disney, that is simply not the case anymore. Hasbro used to make millions and millions of dollars off of Star Wars, but with the decline in popularity, they have struggled to get any of their action figures off of the shelves.
And there's no money in here!
And the same goes for the last decade plus of Star Wars video games. LucasArts used to print money with so many beloved Star Wars video game titles, but when Disney decided to shut down LucasArts and license out Star Wars to other publishers, things started going downhill, and almost every game was marred with controversy. EA was selected as the exclusive publisher and creator for new Star Wars video games, basically within a year of when Disney acquired Lucasfilm.
No! No!
While both of their Battlefront games were financial successes, the decision to gatekeep a large portion of content in favor of microtransactions prevented the player bases from ever reaching their full potential. Both games had a meteoric fall off in players, something that even more recent spikes in popularity never managed to fully remedy. Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor redeemed EA in the eyes of fans, but only a fraction of players came back for these titles. In 2023, Disney opted to not re-up on EA's exclusivity contract, which led to Ubisoft's recent outing, Star Wars Outlaws. Shocker, it was an enormous failure. You know things aren't good when the game publisher blames bad sales on the state of Star Wars itself, but I guess kudos to them for calling out the elephant in the room.
Trash? No.
But more than anything, Disney is a theme park company. I mean, let's be real, that's where the real money is made, that's where their bread is buttered. So if they're failing in that respect, then something is truly astronomically wrong.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
Disney's Star Wars Land, aka Galaxy's Edge, has garnered mixed responses from fans since its opening. Regardless of the exorbitant price to build a lightsaber and a limited amount of rides, the main complaint has been that it feels more like you're visiting Iraq or Baghdad than a Star Wars planet. Batu, the location this land is themed off of, was completely made up for the park. It's not even from any pre-existing story. Why would you choose this planet over Coruscant, Endor, Hoth, or even a mix of several iconic settings? Batu looks like a rip-off Tatooine at best, and that's really how it feels when you're walking through the park. Furthermore, this land only highlights sequel trilogy characters and elements. If you were hoping to run into Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Luke, Leia, or Han, you're straight out of luck. And this isn't even Disney Parks' biggest Star Wars failure, believe it or not. The debacle of the Star Wars Hotel is worth a whole video in itself, and there's a lot of great ones on YouTube if you're interested. In essence, the hotel was advertised as a 3-day experience that Star Wars fans would never forget. Guests would get to live out their own Star Wars story, as their choices would directly impact an intricate role-playing adventure. However, the hotel was forced to shut down after less than 2 years. The main reason was the price. For a 2-night, 3-day stay, prices began at $4,800 for a party of 2. You can literally go to Japan or Rome for 2 weeks with the same money. Additionally, the role-playing elements that were supposed to influence an overarching narrative amongst the visitors were widely overblown. What was supposed to be a choose-your-own-adventure experience ultimately gave everyone the same ending, with lackluster activities along the way. It's been reported that the construction of the hotel cost nearly $1 billion, and the building is currently being used as employee offices.
Oh no! What happened?
Now, some of you might be wondering, what the hell do toys, video games, and theme park attractions have to do with the movies that Star Wars releases? And my answer to you is literally everything. Star Wars is a theatrical franchise first and foremost, and with all of the failures that we just talked about, this franchise cannot afford another critical misstep. Star Wars Starfighter has the almost impossible task of hitting a grand slam while simultaneously reviving a dead body. And that's a lot of pressure for a project that seemed to be a low-stakes spin-off compared to a mainline entry of the Skywalker saga, or at least that's what it sounded like. With a title like Starfighter, I expected it to focus on a pilot who gets involved in a ton of dogfights. A more gritty, aerial combat-focused story doesn't really lend itself to involving lightsabers and the Force. Even though it sounded like a self-contained story, these new rumors suggest that this movie will have far bigger implications than I ever expected in terms of setting up the next 5 to 10 years of Star Wars films. Again, these are just rumors, but they are disastrous if true. So, supposedly this kid that's with Ryan Gosling in the photo is supposed to be Cade Skywalker. For those who don't know, Cade Skywalker is originally from a comic book series called Star Wars Legacy. It takes place 130 years after Return of the Jedi, and Cade is a descendant of both Luke and Anakin Skywalker. In his younger days, Cade trained as a Padawan, but he became disillusioned with the Jedi Order and eventually became a bounty hunter. However, once the Sith began to rise to power yet again, Cade chose to further his Jedi training and rose up to fight them. So the Starfighter movie is supposed to take place around 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker, so clearly this is not going to line up with the comic book timeline of 130 something years in the future. It's ironic how Disney decided to decanonize almost all of the expanded universe just to keep borrowing ideas from it and inserting it into the new Disney canon. Quite frankly, it's really insulting. I mean, just look at what they did to Thrawn in the Ahsoka show. Thrawn was the driving force behind the entire Heir to the Empire trilogy. His cunning, ruthless demeanor, and his unmatched intellect made him a dominating force and a terrifying villain. He didn't defeat you with brute strength, but rather with meticulous, calculated planning that dissected opponents piece by piece. The Thrawn we saw in Ahsoka was Thrawn in name only. He was constantly outsmarted by Ahsoka and company and played off every defeat as another cog in his overarching plan, which it most clearly was not. Modern Lucasfilm's inability to translate expanded universe ideas competently and with respect makes any adaptation going forward an instant red flag.
You are a Todd?
Yes. And now...
Physical or mental?
But the worst part of all of it is how they're planning to shove Rey into this shit sandwich.
Ooh, smells like pee-pee and poo-poo in here.
Ryan Gosling's main mission will be delivering Cade across the galaxy to train with Rey, who has started up a new Jedi Order.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious.
No! But wait, there's more!
Reportedly, this is just the first time we're gonna see Rey again, because next up is the Rey movie, and then episodes 10, 11, and 12, the new trilogy, will have Rey in a starring role.
Oh, the pain. The pain.
Now, before I go nuclear, let's break a few things down. How exactly is Rey going to run a new Jedi Order? She trained with Luke for like a day. What the hell is she gonna teach them? And you can make the argument that, well, Luke didn't have a whole ton of training either, and that's true. He only had a couple weeks, but compared to a single day, Luke was able to learn far more lessons. It's like comparing someone who showed up for a year's worth of classes already to someone who just showed up for orientation. But how is she gonna teach her students about overcoming failure? As we witnessed, she's never lost a fight. She beat Kylo, a trained Sith Lord, with no training whatsoever. She picked up a lightsaber literally that same day. In fact, she bested Kylo every single time they met. But the real headline is that she defeated Palpatine, the most powerful character in the entire Skywalker saga, again, with barely any training.
See, now that's some bullshit.
Even if Luke hadn't refused to fight Palpatine, he still would have got his ass kicked. Even Vader, the terror of the galaxy, couldn't match up with him one-on-one. Otherwise, he would have done it already with the whole Sith thing of killing your master. Still, through the power of bad writing and conveniences, Rey was able to defeat arguably the most powerful character in all of Star Wars. But in terms of teaching students how to improve and get past their shortcomings, channeling one's plot armor is not a valid lesson plan. I mean, what's her message gonna be? Just find the power within, try harder, do better, just believe in yourself? Sure, those are all great positive outlooks, but that's not how you get stronger with the Force, at least not how George Lucas set it out. I mean, my god, man, it's ironic how a character who was lambasted for a lack of character development and not facing any major trials will be teaching people how to face trials and overcome challenges.
Ironic.
Don't get me wrong, seeing a new Jedi Order rise up is incredibly interesting, but unfortunately, me and most other Star Wars fans wanted to see this with Luke, not some disappointing facsimile who is ultimately stealing the payoff of this storyline.
He stole it!
And this just goes back to the fact that it seems like Lucasfilm is doubling down on all of their mistakes. I mean, how many fucking times can you disrespect Luke Skywalker?
Not once, not twice, but as many times as I
The way Luke's new Jedi Order collapsed due to his out-of-character actions was something that longtime fans like myself despise. We didn't get to see him as a teacher, but rather got a front-row seat to see him fail. And to pour salt in the wound, Rey will now be the steward of the Jedi going forward. We will witness her usher in a new generation, not Luke, which is yet another payoff she has stolen from a legacy character. But hey, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. Disney loves to disrespect the legacy of Star Wars.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
And what's so infuriating if all of these rumors are true is that Rey did not need to be a central focus of this series again, not whatsoever. While yes, she was the protagonist of the last 3 mainline entries, there are ways to sweep that era under the rug swiftly and move towards something else. While the sequels were criticized for a lack of cohesive world building and feeling totally disconnected from the original trilogy, these principles can actually be utilized to distance Star Wars from Rey and the sequels going forward. Just keep things vague and pretend that the last couple movies just never even happened. Let's look at The Last Jedi as an example.
My eyes! My eyes!
When Luke and Rey are talking, key events like the fall of the Jedi and the rise of the Empire are mentioned in passing, but they don't get much focus. Similarly, in the Starfighter movie, you could mention Rey here and there and then just move on. And in all subsequent films, you should omit her completely.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
But clearly, that's not the direction Lucasfilm and Disney want to go into.
Am I a stinker?
It's clear to even casual fans at this point that this franchise is completely on life support.
Rey! 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 Rey!
And, as we've discussed, the streaming ratings, merchandise sales, lack of theatrical releases, and general attitude within the fan base speak for themselves. You'd think after L after L after L after L after L, they would be desperate to move in a different direction.
No. No, I don't think I will.
It doesn't matter if they wait 6 years, a decade, or even more, if the future of Disney Star Wars is beholden to its failed past.
The future is shit. Just like the past.
Lucasfilm has one last opportunity to even attempt to pivot in a fresh direction, but if these reports are true, they have elected to triple, quadruple, quintuple down on their mistakes.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
They have learned absolutely nothing and refuse to acknowledge the reality in front of their eyes.
You can't handle the truth!
Instead of bending over backwards to rectify the damage they've caused and making a peace offering towards the fans, they decided to repeat their blunders and put all their chips on the character that made them bust out in the first place. And this decision is completely unprovoked. All they had to do was not spotlight Rey anymore, enter a new era, and the chips would fall where they may. Instead, Disney decided to tightrope blindfolded and drunk over a pool of sharks and piranha while putting a pew-pew to their head with 5 of the chambers loaded and started playing Russian roulette rather than admit defeat.
Your arrogance blinds you, Master Yoda.
It is baffling how the conclusion Lucasfilm came to, despite how unfruitful the last few years have been, was that square pegs do in fact fit in round holes.
Am I so out of touch? No. It's the
fans.
No, we're wrong.
As Albert Einstein once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I think it's time to send Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, and the entire Lucasfilm creative team to an asylum, because this insane game plan will destroy what little cachet Star Wars has left. I'll check in with you guys in another 6 years. Good luck and may the Force be with you. You're gonna need it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to Pop Culture Paradise for more nerdy content.